Thanksgiving night looked perfect from the outside candles flickering, silver gleaming, laughter polished for the neighbors. My mother raised her glass, smiling that photo-perfect smile she'd practiced all my life. Avery's wedding was perfect, she said. So, Harper, when's yours? Laughter rippled tight. Careful, polite. My father carved the turkey like it could save him. I set my fork down. You got invitations, I said. The room froze. All sounds swallowed. What they didn't know was that my sister had signed for every one, deleted the proof, and my mother had told her to. They thought I came home to make peace, but I came carrying receipts, signatures, and every truth they'd buried. That night wasn't dinner. It was reckoning. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from. And hit like and subscribe if you've ever been betrayed by family, the kind of betrayal that doesn't scream. It whispers. The kind that smiles across the dinner table while quietly cutting you out of the picture, because this story isn't just mine, it might be yours too. I grew up in a house that photographed better than it lived. White shutters, rose bushes trimmed into obedience, a front door painted the same soft blue every spring. From the sidewalk, it looked like peace. Inside, it sounded like performance. My mother, Diane, believed perfection could save us. My father, Thomas, believed silence could. And my sister Avery was the reason both of them kept trying. Avery was the image they showed the world. I was the frame that held it steady. From as early as I can remember, Avery had a spotlight built into her life. Dance recitals, pageants, trophies polished weekly. Mom cried when Avery smiled for the camera. I learned early that the lens always pointed one way. When I was 9, I won first place at the state science fair with a solar water purifier. Dad promised to take my picture for the paper. But that afternoon, Avery tore her costume before her dance show. Mom said, "We'll celebrate Harper later. Sweetheart, Avery needs us now." Later never came. It wasn't hatred. Not yet. It was confusion that hardened into habit. I started talking less, watching more. I learned that love in our house had rules. Keep quiet. Don't compete. Make room for Avery. By high school, the pattern had a rhythm. Avery ran for student council. I wrote her speech. She got into UCLA. I went to a smaller college in Oregon. Mom framed her acceptance letter, then asked me to get the light right for the photo. My own letter went into a drawer. I didn't know it then, but that would matter later. When I left for Portland, Mom called it rebellion. To me, it felt like air. I rented a small apartment above a bakery, worked with environmental data, and learned to live without being edited. That's where I met Eli. He was photographing the river one morning, his lens fogged by the cold. I was collecting samples nearby. We started talking about light, how it hides and bends. He said something I never forgot. The best photos come from what people don't notice. Maybe that's why I fell for him. Because he noticed. Our life together wasn't glamorous. It smelled like coffee and rain, like paper and printer ink. At night, he edited photos while I ran data sets. For the first time, silence didn't mean punishment, it meant peace. When Eli proposed by the coast, a foggy morning, waves whispering against rocks, I said yes before he finished the question. For once, I wanted to share something with my family, not to prove my worth, but to see if they could love me without a spotlight. I didn't know it yet, but that hope would become the cruelest part of all. I designed the invitations myself. Cream cardstock, navy ink, clean and understated. I mailed them early. Signature required. I even triple-checked the tracking numbers because I knew my family's habit of losing anything that didn't center around Avery. When the notifications read delivered, I exhaled. For once, I believed that meant something. Weeks passed. No calls. No messages. My mother's Facebook bloomed with Avery's engagement photos. Captioned, "Our pride and joy." I waited. Nothing. Eli tried to stay gentle about it. "Maybe they're planning a surprise," he said. I smiled. The kind of smile that hides a bruise. Maybe. But the surprise never came. Our wedding was small, 20 people, sea wind, and fog like soft smoke around the chapel. Eli's parents sat in the front row. The 2 seats beside them, reserved for mine, stayed empty. After the ceremony, Helen hugged me so tight it startled me. "You're family now," she said. She held on longer than my own mother ever did. That warmth almost broke me. Still, I told myself a story. Maybe the invitations got lost. Maybe the post office messed up. Lies disguised as comfort. One evening, Eli was editing photos at the kitchen table. He looked up and asked, "Do you really think they didn't get them?" I wanted to say yes, to keep pretending, but the truth had already started knocking. "Let's check," he said. Together, we followed the digital breadcrumbs postal tracking, delivery signatures. Each envelope marked delivered, each signed for by the same hand, Avery Lane. Her signature curved perfectly. The same confident loop from birthday cards and report cards. My chest tightened. She signed for them. I whispered. Eli's hand brushed mine. "She didn't want you to know." I printed the proofs, slid them into a folder. Evidence. A week later, I called Dad. "Did you get anything from me in April?" "April," he repeated. "No. Sweetheart, you know your mom handles the mail." The word handles echoed too long. That night, I sat on the couch, lights off, phone in hand. My mother had texted earlier. "So proud of Avery. She's glowing. No mention of me. No question about my life." Then Jake, my friend from work, sent me a screenshot, a post from Avery's event planning page. She'd written, "My sister's wedding was first, but it was just a small coastal thing. Nothing major," followed by a laughing emoji. Nothing major. That phrase didn't hurt, it clarified. It told me exactly how small she needed me to stay. I stopped replying to my mother's messages. I muted the family group chat. Weeks turned into months. Thanksgiving loomed like a rerun I didn't want to watch. But the silence stopped feeling like distance. It started feeling like strategy. 6 months later, Mom sent her annual text. "Thanksgiving dinner. 6 p.m. Family only. Family only." I stared at the message until my reflection blurred against the screen. If they'd already erased me, I might as well show them what they'd missed. So I packed the folder, looked at Eli, and said, "It's time." He nodded once. "Then let's make sure they finally see you." The week before Thanksgiving, Portland looked like a grayscale photograph, streets washed in rain. Sky heavy and low. I stood by the window while Eli packed the overnight bag. He didn't ask what I planned to do. We'd already had that conversation without words. "You don't owe them anything," he said, folding my coat. "I know," I said softly. "That's why I'm going." The drive south felt longer than usual. Bare trees leaned over the highway like silent witnesses. Each exit felt like a memory I didn't want to revisit. Avery's high school gym, Mom's favorite bakery, the church that had hosted every one of her photo-perfect Christmas pageants. When we pulled into the driveway, the house glowed warm under the porch light. The welcome home wreath was still there, same as every year. Its perfection more like mockery than comfort. Mom opened the door before I could knock. "Harper," she said, her voice too bright. "Look at you. Sweetheart." She hugged me the way she hugged guests. She didn't quite trust tight. Quick, then gone. Her perfume was sharp. The same floral blend that always made me feel 12 again. Inside, everything sparkled. The silverware gleamed. The candles flickered. Every surface screamed performance. And there, by the fireplace, stood Avery, camera ready, in cream and gold. Her husband adjusting her hair for a picture. "Congratulations," I said. She smiled. Eyes cool. "Thanks. Sorry we missed your wedding. Things got hectic." "Yeah," I said. "I noticed." Mom's voice filled the silence. "You two sit. I made your favorite pie." I didn't remember having a favorite pie. Dinner began the way all Lane dinners did, praise for Avery. Poulet de notes for everyone else. I kept my head down. answering questions about work like a guest in my own family. At one point, Mom asked Eli about his photography. "You take beautiful pictures," she said. "Maybe one day you can shoot Avery and Ryan's holiday card." I waited for the joke. But none came. When the plates cleared, Dad poured coffee, eyes avoiding mine. He always avoided mine when Mom spoke too loudly. Then Mom turned to me, voice light. "So, Harper, are you still working on all those computer things? Data analytics?" I corrected. "Right," she said, waving her hand. "Such complicated stuff. I could never do that. You've always been the practical one." The practical one, translation. The unremarkable one. I caught Avery glancing at her phone, smiling at a message. She didn't show anyone. I wondered if she was texting about me. Later, when everyone moved to the living room for drinks, I stayed behind in the dining room. The candles burned lower, throwing long shadows across the tablecloth. My folder sat in my bag under the chair, heavy like a heartbeat. Avery appeared in the doorway. "You look tense," she said, sipping wine. "Just tired. Still dramatic," she teased. "You really should let things go." I met her eyes. "Funny. That's what you said about my wedding invitations." Her smile faltered for the briefest second. "What are you talking about?" I shrugged. "You'll see." She laughed, high and brittle. "Mom was right. You hold grudges like it's a hobby, and you erase people like it's a skill," I said quietly. For a moment, her mask slipped. Then she turned away. "You're insane," she muttered, and walked out. I sat there in the dim light, the sound of her heels fading. My hands were steady. For the first time in years. That scared me in the best possible way. Tomorrow, I thought. Tomorrow. We stopped pretending. Morning crept into the house wrapped in fog and the smell of cinnamon candles, Mom's favorite brand, the one she used every Thanksgiving. I could almost hear the script she rehearsed every year. Family first. No matter what. From the guest room window, I watched her set the table through the glass reflection. Every plate perfect, every napkin folded like origami. I remembered being 8, getting scolded for folding them wrong. People notice details. "Harper," she'd said. Now, I was the detail they'd erased. Downstairs, Avery fussed over the centerpiece. "Mom likes symmetry," she said, moving one of the candles an inch to the left. "I know," I said. "I grew up in her symmetry." She smirked, still sarcastic. "You should really work on that." I smiled faintly. "You should really work on empathy." Her jaw tightened. But she didn't answer. Guests trickled in, neighbors. Distant relative. People who knew the Lane family only from holiday cards. Compliments about Avery's wedding floated around like perfume. "That dress. That venue. You must be so proud." "Diane." Mom beamed, waving her hands. "It was flawless. She's always been our shining star." I stood near the window. Invisible. My reflection, the only proof I was there. Ellie approached quietly, holding 2 glasses of wine. "You okay?" "Not yet," I said, "but I will be." Dinner began. Silver clinked against porcelain. Voices overlapped. Laughter filling the spaces where truth should have been. My mother raised her glass. "To family," she said. "And to Avery, for making this year unforgettable." Everyone cheered. I didn't. When the noise died down, she turned to me. "And Harper, maybe next year will be your turn." I met her gaze. It already was. The room faltered. A few guests looked confused. Avery's hand froze midair. Fork poised like a weapon. "What do you mean?" "Sweetheart," Mom asked. Voice too sweet. "I mean," I said calmly. "My wedding was 6 months ago." The silence that followed was so complete, I could hear the candle crackle. "Oh," Mom said, her tone light but eyes darting. "We never got an invitation." I tilted my head. "Did you?" Avery's throat moved in a tight swallow. "You're mistaken. Harper, we never saw. I cut her off with a small smile. Don't worry. I kept all the receipts. The rest of the meal moved like a slow-motion collapse, but every sentence landed flat. Dad's fork scraped his plate louder than usual, his silence saying more than words ever could. After dessert, I stepped outside to the porch. The air was cold, sharp with pine and smoke. Steadying my hands, behind me, the screen door creaked open. It was Dad. He looked tired, older than the last time I saw him. Harper, he said quietly. I found something. He held out a small envelope, cream paper, navy ink. My handwriting. I found it in a box. Avery dropped off. I should have told you sooner. You knew? I asked. He shook his head quickly. I didn't understand what it was until last week. I took the envelope, the seal already broken. She opened it. He didn't deny it. Your mother didn't want to ruin the holiday. I let out a bitter laugh. God forbid we ruin the aesthetic. He sighed. I'm sorry. Don't be, I said, slipping the invitation into my coat pocket. Just don't pretend anymore. When I went back inside, Avery was already watching me. She must have seen the envelope in my hand. For the first time, she looked nervous. Mom stood at the head of the table, trying to reignite the mood. Let's all sit down, she said, voice trembling just enough to betray her control. We're family. That's what matters. Family. That word used to comfort me. Now it sounded like a warning. I took my seat. My hands were steady. My heart beat calm. The truth was loaded. Waiting. They thought I was quiet because I'd accepted my place. They didn't realize I was quiet because I'd already won. The candles trembled as if they knew what was coming. The table glowed gold and soft, like a painting that was about to burn. My mother tapped her glass, the familiar signal for attention. Before we eat dessert, she said brightly, I just want to say how thankful I am for this family. For love, for forgiveness, for the year Avery made us all proud. The words landed like glass splinters. I picked up my phone. Funny, I said quietly. I don't remember being forgiven for something I didn't do. Forks froze. Chair creaked. Even the air seemed to still. Mom blinked. What are you talking about? I set the phone on the table. It means, I said, that I sent you invitations. For my wedding. You got them. Avery's fork slipped from her hand, hitting the plate with a sharp clang. That's not true. I tapped the screen. White light spilled across the tablecloth. 4 packages. 4 signatures. All received. The image appeared Avery's looping signature at the bottom of a delivery receipt, dated April 23rd. Mom's hand went to her chest. There must be some mistake. I shook my head. No mistake. I tracked everyone. Avery's voice rose, thin and cracking.